Hello and welcome to That Bible Guy. A worrying trend in Christians. We'll get there now, but I've been bursting with ideas. Been a while since I've done a video actually, but I'm overflowing with ideas today. They burst forth. But I want to look at today something that's been in my heart for a while. A worrying trend in Christians. Now, when I say a worrying trend, I don't mean it's something new necessarily. Um, and I've seen it for a while, and we're all susceptible to it. Like a lot of things, we're all susceptible to it. And what it is not being open to correction. So Proverbs 12, verse 1 talks about whoever loves discipline loves knowledge. He who hates correction is stupid. And there are other verses about reproof or correction. And the King James Version says is brutish. I was reading this earlier on that sounded like I was saying British. He who hates correction is not British necessarily, brutish, or the other word is stupid. Quite a strong word. So it's the idea of not being open to correction. Now, what I want to start, I start with a disclaimer. Good to start with disclaimers. And the disclaimer here, before I go on, is to say that sometimes people will bring things up with the wrong spirit, and it's good that we are aware when people are actually doing that, bringing it up with the wrong spirit. So I'm not talking about those situations, although they may still apply. We need to watch out for the spirit of the person bringing things up. But when I talk about the trend of correction, not being open to correction, I talk about something that so easily happens, and I think I do see it quite a lot, and maybe slightly more at the moment, where people have been around, have been Christians for a while, and we've just got into this status quo where we just don't mention things anymore. Where there's just certain people that we just don't say things anymore. And if we were to bring something up about the way they interacted with their kids or with someone else, or the way they said something or used a tone of voice, the way they even spoke in church, or the thing that they said, that you just don't say anything. You don't want to say anything to them. You think that they wouldn't take it well. And even you yourself can feel like, you're not necessarily having people in your life saying that this was good or this wasn't good. Let's be honest, the culture that we're in does not make something like that popular. It's like you do what you do because you do it, and you have a whole list of reasons why you do it. Who's anyone else to tell you that you should or shouldn't do it? But the Bible says we've got to be open to correction, and it's wise to heed discipline and respond to it. And we should have, there are many scriptures that talk about, we should have many advisors and people around us who love us and care for us, and that love will speak the truth. Again, that is absent from our culture today. But as Christians, we must speak the truth, be willing to speak the truth to others, and have it said also to us. And I'm very concerned that I see this missing so easily, and I think we all tend to go that way. I was to write a paper as part of my master's for one of the courses in church history. And we, as some of us know, in 2003 went through some changes in the church. We realized that sometimes in helping one another, we went too far. We called people to a standard that was our standard and not necessarily biblical, not necessarily what they had agreed with. And there was other practices that were maybe too intense. We went a little bit too far. So we learned and we grew, and some were more involved more than others. But I was asked to say, what would you say to people coming up now that you'd learned from that time? And of course, there's various things I said, but one of the things I narrowed it all down to that I felt was so important and something I'd seen in Belfast even was this idea of, I think we need to be open to what people will bring up with us, and we need to be willing to say things to others, because I don't think that comes naturally. But it needs to go both ways. We need to be willing to have the confidence to say to someone, and they need to then have the spirit, as we need to have the spirit, that actually hears what someone has to say. That we're willing to do that. We're willing to almost risk the relationship a little bit because we love truth so much, and that we're open to that as well. I have a couple of questions and a challenge for us in a moment linked in with writing that, because I felt that was so important. I'm going to elaborate on that now, exactly what that would look like, that we have that spirit that's willing to bring things up with other people and then have others bring it up with us. A couple of questions, and then I'm going to give us a challenge based on what I've just said. A couple of questions are, when was the, and just have a think about this, because this will help us understand, are we going along with that trend, or is there people around us going along with that trend? And again, just as I say, this is a trend of any time, not even just of now. But when is the last time you brought something up with someone else? Well, you actually went out and said to someone else, I didn't think the way you said that, it came across like this. So you don't want to judge too quickly. You're asking for their view. Same as you ask people on the street when you believe, you're asking for an open view. but you're bringing something up overtly wrong, then maybe you already made your mind up. But usually you're wanting to find out information. But when's the last time you brought up the way someone spoke, someone's clear and obvious sin, the way someone's tone of voice, their attitude, the fact that you hadn't seen them for several Sundays, you haven't seen them around? When's the last time you just raised something with someone, even just in a questioning manner? And the second question then for us is, when's the last time anyone brought up something with you? Someone said something to you and brought something up with you that maybe you initially were a bit uncomfortable with. And I ask these questions because they show something. When's the last time somebody brought up something with you reveals how willing are you to have something brought up with you? How open to correction are you? And how open do you feel other people are to correction? Because the answer to those questions might tell you how open do you think other people are to correction, and how open to correction are you? The heart is deceitful above all things. We must be open to correction, guys. I've got a deep conviction about this, but I don't naturally tend that way as well. Here's the challenge, linked into what I said about the church history answer about the 2003 period and my advice about openness. And here's the challenge about being open, because it sounds easy and nice, and I'll remain open, other people are going to be open, but here's the challenge. And this is what I've seen with people who lack that ability to take correction, as I have myself over the years. Be open even if the person brings it up with a bad attitude. Now, when I say be open, I don't mean be open to everything they say, but they may have a point in there somewhere about something you said or done. Be open even if they bring it with a bad attitude. Be open, here's a really one we may not have thought about. Be open even if what they're bringing up lacks details. Now, we may need to be, convinced of something, that's okay, but remaining open to what someone says is we're not going to dismiss what they said because they couldn't give us the exact time and date, because they couldn't clarify it exactly the way we wanted to. I've seen this in the past. Someone would not listen to what someone else said because they couldn't nail it all down perfectly for them. Remaining open to what someone may see in you, you don't necessarily have to those details. I know it's useful and it's good, and we do need to examine what someone's saying, but be open, despite the fact they may have a bad attitude, despite the fact that they might lack details, or dare I say, they're 95% in the wrong and you're only 5% in the wrong. They're bringing something up with an interaction that you had about the way you responded. I have an interaction with my wife, interaction with my kids, and I know at some point I lost my temper. But I know that 95% of the discussion, they were at fault, they needed to change, and that's my conviction, and I'm not changing it because that's the way it was. But am I still willing to take the correction for me? And that's hard. I know that is not easy, guys. Honestly, I say this today with a bit of a concern, sometimes a deep concern, and sometimes that concern is coming from the state of my own heart. It's hard to take correction from people, but this is absolutely crucial. If we have grown in the faith and we're older Christians, but we don't do this, and people don't do this with us, it is a danger that we're just going with the relativistic culture of today, where today, unfortunately, people can excuse away all tones of voice, all angry reactions, all lustful thoughts. Well, that's just linked into my past. That's just linked into something else. Granted, they may have extra difficulties, but sin is still sin. We still need to speak the truth, and we still need to be open to it. The person who's dealing with this needs to be gentle and kind, and if they're not, you can deal with that separately, but own your part of it, and then bring up maybe the way they brought it up to you. But I really say this today as a potentially worrying trend in Christians. We've got to be, as the Bible says, open to correction, but also the confidence to bring things up with others. Iron sharpens iron. We do what we do. We speak the truth in love. Hope this helped us today, guys. If it did, please hit the like button. Please share it on for other people. Please subscribe if you haven't already to That Bible Guy, and let's get his word out there.